Hi, my name is Kevin.com Brown, and you are watching Mr. Media.
Today on Mr. Media, I'll talk to actress Sharon Leal. She co-stars with Blair Underwood in the new T.D. Jakes film, Woman Thou Art Loosed, on the seventh day. Stick around. When we're done, I'll be 1 degree of separation closer to Sharon's co-star, Foxy Brown. So much media, so little time. Who keeps track of it all? That would be me. This is Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview. You know, MrMedia.com, MRmedia.com. Stop by and check it out. There are more than 900 archived celebrity and pop culture interviews for your listening pleasure. Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience of handsome young actors who hope Sharon Leal will cast one of them as co-stars in her next movie in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. Actress Sharon Leal is a woman loosed and on the verge. A review of the one-time Guiding Light star's recent credits support this, with ever more visible roles. That was her in 2 Tyler Perry movies, Why Did I Get Married? And its sequel. And she's been all over TV, including runs on Boston Public, Private Practice, Hellcats, and 2 episodes of one of my recent favorites, USA's Suits. Now she's in the lead role in T.D. Jakes Ministries' emotional new theatrical release, Woman Thou Art Loosed, on the 7th day, starring opposite Blair Underwood, and also in the cast is the legendary Pam Grier. Now, I haven't seen the film, which is a sequel of sorts to 2004's Woman Thou Art Loosed, and is described this time as a dramatic thriller involving the kidnapping of the young daughter of Leal and Underwood's characters. The movie is directed by Neema Barnette. And Sharon Leal, welcome to Mr. Media.
Well, thank you. Happy to be here.
Glad to have you. Well, let's start where we need to start, I think, with a little more information about Woman Thou Art Loosed on the 7th day. What's it about, and where does your character Carrie fit in?
Well, the movie Woman Thou Art Loosed on the Seventh Day is a movie that explores the marriage of David Ames and Carrie Ames, played by myself and Blair Underwood. And when you meet them, they're a happily married couple. And all of a sudden, one of the most unimaginable things happen where their 7-year-old daughter is abducted. And from that point on, all of the family secrets unravel and spill out onto the floor. And so as they are searching for their child, they're also dealing with a lot of pretty heavy subject matter that has to do with who they are as a couple, Carrie's past, and whether or not they'll survive this horrible incident. And so it really just becomes this high-stakes ride from start to finish, and that's basically the film in a nutshell. It's a thriller suspense, so it really keeps you on your toes, and really you're really along for the ride the whole way through, and it sort of grabs you and doesn't let go.
Well, this is shocking. You're saying a married couple has secrets? I can't imagine such a thing.
I know. How is that even possible? Yes. Right. So it kind of definitely explores that, and how you deal with that, and whether or not you can overcome some of those secrets and things, and whether or not they actually survive in the end becomes a pretty a pretty serious part of the whole story. So, they do have secrets, like many families do, and it seems like everything is just sort of falling, onto them at all at once. And it's called On the Seventh Day because they have 7 days to find the child, and after those 7 days are up, then the situation goes from bad to worse. So that's why through the 7-day time, you're really, it's this frantic search, hoping that they make it before it's too late.
Now, because this is a T.D. Jakes film, I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that part of what drives this film is not just that it's a thriller and there's a kidnapping, but finding out what kind of person these people are under extreme pressure. Do they remain Do they remain a good person? Are they a flawed person? And how do they deal with that? I'm just guessing because I haven't seen the film.
Oh, you haven't seen the film, right? You have to see the film, Bob.
Wasn't available to me. I asked.
Okay, I hope you're able to see it. The thing is, it is under the T.D. Bishop Jakes brand, and so obviously what he tries to do in all of his projects is create a landscape for very poignant and important themes. So for this particular movie, some of those themes are, the concepts of forgiveness, obviously really addressing serious subject matter like drug abuse and alcoholism, incest, infidelity. So he definitely runs the gamut in terms of approaching some of these subjects and trying to leave the audience with some kind of a message, and you are looking at these people who are faced with some of their darkest times, and whether or not they'll be able to sort of tap into their faith and their optimism and go into survival mode is really what's called into question, and it does leave you saying, could you forgive somebody if they did A, B, C? And how is it that you pull yourself up, by your bootstraps and carry on and move forward and keep your head above water? So that's how those messages kind of come through throughout the movie, with all of the things that sort of happen all at once to this particular couple. But I think that what's really special about this film is that it's not one of those situations where it's beating you over the head with faith and religion, and sometimes audience members think that when they're seeing a faith-based film that's what's going to happen, and a lot of people don't want to be preached to. I know that I don't necessarily appreciate watching anything that's sort of preaching to me and making me feel like I'm some kind of sinner and I need to be taught some sort of lesson. So it does it in a way that's entertaining and within the genre of a suspense thriller, and that's a big reason why I signed on to do it, because I thought that if you are going to do a movie with these kind of messages, then why not do it in a way that opens up the market in terms of the demographics and the audience, and really is universal in terms of its entertainment factor. And I think that the movie does that really well, and it's important that faith-based films are able to do that in a way that that definitely opens up the audience.
Now you've done straight Hollywood type of stuff. You've done Tyler Perry, which is becoming more mainstream, but is still done kind of outside of the mainstream. And now you've done this faith-based. Is it different than working on a Hollywood project?
I don't think so. I think that hopefully on every project, it's really about putting forth your best work and playing characters that are not just one-dimensional, having compelling stories, and I think that that's all the same. Obviously, when you do a low-budget independent film, you don't have all the bells and whistles, and you don't necessarily have this huge machine that's behind you really pushing a film, and that's the only difference. But it actually makes you work harder and makes you hopefully tap into the biggest part of sort of your artistic, creative side, and it did feel like we had this big mountain to climb with limited resources, but I think that in the end, after seeing the film, that made it doubly rewarding, because there wasn't necessarily this huge expectation for where the film was going to wind up, and the fact that we got a limited theater release with AMC movie theaters was a huge accomplishment. And at the end of the day, it's a film that I'm really proud of, and that I think everyone involved in. Everyone did such a great job. Blair Underwood's amazing in the film. Obviously, the iconic Pam Grier her appearance in the film is really exciting, and the script, although we had to kind of get in there and do what we could to elevate it and get it to work, and obviously in post, Neema Barnette did so much in post. There was so much work that went into creating a finished product that everybody could really be proud of, and I think that we pulled that off. And so I don't think that I think you should approach everything in the same way, and that's with integrity and looking at characters that really resonate in a really profound way, or whether it's a comedic way or if it's a dramatic, whatever the genre is, as long as you're sort of putting your best foot forward, I think that's the object of the game. And so I wouldn't say there's a difference outside of just the big machine that you have when you're doing a big studio film.
I want to ask you, one of my friends is Eric Deggans. He's the TV and media critic for the was the St. Pete Times, now it's the Tampa Bay Times, and he writes a lot about the lack of roles for minorities, particularly African American. And what I wonder about is, having done at least the two films that I know of with Tyler Perry, and now this film, is this the way things need to move for both African American actors and the audiences, that these things be produced outside of the usual systems, so that there are more roles and there are more stories that have a direct appeal, perhaps?
Well, I think it really is about there is a frustration that's there, because there tends to be a void, and I think that it's fair to say that African Americans have to work a little bit harder than the average Joe, just because it isn't necessarily this landscape that is where there's just tons and tons of roles for us. And so I think it's about creating a space for ourselves and doing things independently, and really saying, this is what we want to see. It's just important to be proactive, and I think that that's what you're seeing with Tyler Perry's and independent films and things. But I think with all the criticism that goes out about Tyler Perry, I think that it's there specifically because he's probably kind of the only one that's doing it consistently, and people, unlike the white world, you sometimes you see just one kind of approach to it, and that's where people get frustrated, because people don't necessarily want that to be the only reflection of who we are, and so it's easy to kind of to criticize him. But he's obviously tapping into a market that needs a voice and is looking for themselves to see, and hopefully it'll we'll just sort of expand upon what he does and be able to show all sides and colors and nuances of what it is that we can do. I think that goes for white people, Latino, everybody. Everybody has to do what they can if they feel that they're limited, to create projects that they can pull themselves into, and so that everybody is represented. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing with a lot of these projects, and that's a positive thing. And really, just the more that we can do, and the more we can expand upon who we are, is sort of the object of the game. And hopefully, you'll see more of that. But that's in a nutshell kind of what's going on.
And how valuable is it to you to get that starring role on a theatrical release like this? I would think that's a pretty big deal.
Well, yeah, it's really exciting for me. I think that, like I said before, I think it's just, when I read this script, I knew that this character had a lot to do, and I knew that it would be a challenge, and it's always about trying to grow as an actor, and I felt like there was a lot on my plate, and I was really excited to sink my teeth into something like this, and so it's very exciting for me to star in the movie, and to also work with the other people involved, Pam and Blair, and there's a wonderful actor named Nicoy Banks and Nicole Bahari. I think to to me, work is work, and it really is just about gravitating towards material that speaks to you. And this was one of those roles, and yeah, it's a very exciting prospect for me. So I'm happy.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. And was T.D. Jakes a presence on the set? I know he plays himself on screen at one point, but was he actually around as the film is being shot, or is he leaving that to the film people?
He did show up a few times, and he does have a couple of scenes in the movie, and he obviously speaks about the movie a lot. And I know he has a new book called Let It Go, which that's now out in bookstores, and that kind of coincidentally falls right in line with some of the subject matter in this film. And so yeah, he was definitely around, not every single day, but he's a big part of what the essence of this movie is. And to his credit, he really was able to come forward and lend his face and his brand and his whole sort of the thing that everything that he does, but also knew when to sort of hand the reins over and be open and allow us to make a film and take some liberties and things. So I think he's really happy with the film, and it was really cool to meet him. And yeah, so it is part of his whole brand, and so he did have a presence.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, if you had met him before, and if not, if what kind of impression he made, and if you saw his work any differently, having been around him.
Well, I think I fall into the trappings of when you hear about somebody and you think you're going to meet somebody who is so religious and sort of untouchable. So I know when he showed up on set, I was a little bit nervous, and I didn't know, I didn't know him personally, but he is one of the coolest guys I've ever met. He is so sort of humble and normal, and this guy's guy with a great sense of humor and an incredible openness about him, which I think you wouldn't necessarily think would be part of his personality. You think he'd come up and be this really sort of judgmental, severely religious sort of individual, and he's not like that at all. He's a really, really wonderful man, and I hadn't met him before, so it was cool to meet him and refreshing to see that he was just like any other guy, and knew how to have a good time, didn't take himself too seriously, and at the end of the day just really wanted to be a part of creating something that everyone could be proud of. And so it was wonderful meeting him.
Now, I'm a little confused because a lot of the things you said about him, I would have guessed you might have said about Blair Underwood, your co-star.
Yes, Blair, that snobby guy. He's everything you've heard. He's just horrible. I will. I'll validate all of that. No, Blair is just. Blair is just a class act and a great guy. I worked with him a long time ago, and we hope that there'll be something we work on again in the future. So when he signed on and we got on the phone and said, we're doing a movie together, we were really excited. We worked so well together, and he's an amazing guy with an amazing career, and he's about to open on Broadway with Streetcar, which is really cool. Blair's always got his hands in something, and he's always doing good work, so I love working with him. Yeah,
his next role is never predictable. I remember him in Dirty Sexy Money going, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's different. And what were you in with him before? I didn't realize you would work together before.
We did something called LAX on NBC years ago. Yeah.
Okay, you brought that up. I didn't. I was not going to bring it up.
About that.
Yeah, I know that was kind of, that came and went so quickly. Most people don't even know what we're talking about.
Right.
I was going to
be. Obviously, it's a small community of black actors. So I knew him and have always wanted to work with him, and would see him out and about. And we always said we got to figure out something to do together. And so. it was cool when this came about and we got to work together.
Well, and I wanted to ask you about Blair and Pam Grier. You got to work with, obviously, both of them on this film. What can a younger actor learn about longevity? And I mean, you're not new to the business. I mean, you did the soap in the mid-'90s. But, what can a young actor learn about longevity in the business from a Pam Grier or a Blair Underwood? What can you take away from that?
Gosh, well, yeah, it's always wonderful to work alongside people that have succeeded at a kind of momentum that just keeps going. There is, I think, one of the most impressive things about Blair's career is his longevity and the diverse roles that he's played, and the fact that he's been able to be a chameleon of sorts and just sort of keep it moving. I always I love to work with people, obviously, that I respect, and I think for Blair, he's just such an aware human being. He just has this kind of this graciousness and this awareness of the world and people. I mean, he doesn't treat anybody any different from the next person. He'll, from the grip to the director to the DP to the the guy doing the catering. I mean, everybody is important to him, and I think that it's that kind of goodwill and that kind of spirit and positivity that he has just as a person that I think he just sort of has great things always happening because he's just a give back kind of guy, and so he's taught me a lot about that, and I think just really with every role and every prospect of work, I think his mindfulness about growing and continuing to grow, and his focus on his integrity and just the way that he focuses on what really matters. I think that is sort of integral to longevity and to keeping things moving and to being able to. Blair just is one of those guys that everybody wants to work with, and at a certain point, that's kind of what it's about. It's about creating this reputation for yourself that makes people want to work with you, and he just sort of has that. Pam Grier, because she's just this iconic woman, obviously, the Foxy Brown. I mean, we were so excited when she signed on, and the anticipation of her arrival on set was, we were all giddy, and just, she's an incredible woman and a survivor herself. She has a book out that talks in depth about her experiences within the business and some of her personal experiences, and she just has that kind of presence, this woman who's been there, done that, seen it all, and survived so much. And she has this sort of passion about her that is really infectious and really impressive. And so I really think it's about, again, reinforcing that idea that not to get caught up in the business and all the things that don't really matter, to really focus on the work, to focus on being a good human being, to be, Pam is really active with the what Michelle Obama is doing with the obesity platform, the children, eating well. She has an organic farm. She's very socially active and aware as well, and I think that I see that in both of them, and I hope to implement that, in my own life. And it's wonderful when you can meet actors that are just more than actors. They're pretty exceptional human beings, and I think that just promotes good things all down the line, and being a well-rounded human being. I think it's crucial to growth and involvement.
Well, I just have one more question for you. I was snooping around online, and I happened to see on your Twitter feed that you were in the recording studio this week. Is that something you can talk about before we go?
Oh, well, I'm a singer first. I've always sung, and I've been really fortunate in that I have had, roles in movies and television shows where for some reason I get to get up and sing a song and do something. I started out in musical theater. My first professional job was on Broadway, and So I've always sung ever since I can remember, and so I'm always pursuing that, and I'm working on a few tracks and just sort of putting on, just the creative hat. That's just a big love and passion of mine. So I am in the studio just toying with some songs, and I'm always exploring that. So that's just a part of what I do, and something that I haven't completely abandoned. And so I've been in the studio knocking out a few tunes and having fun while I'm doing it. So that's all I'll say about that.
All right. Well, folks, listen, you can see Sharon Leal in the new T.D. Jakes Ministries film, Woman, Thou Art Loosed, on the 7th day. This Friday, it opens, April 13th, in select AMC theaters nationwide. Group rates are available, so you can check your local listings for more information. I found that you're on Twitter. I think you have a website as well, SharonLeal.com.
Yes.
Right. And, well, people can find you, and they can certainly find the movie this Friday.
Yes.
Sharon, thank you so much. It was a delightful interview, and thanks for joining us on Mr. Media today.
Thank you so much, Bob, and please go see the film, everybody.
Okay.
It'll be great.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. For more original interviews, surf over to our main website, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. If you've enjoyed today's show, subscribe for free to Mr. Media via email, RSS, or iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. Another good idea? Download our new free Mr. Media mobile app in the Android market. You can also listen with a piece of string and a tin can in many parts of the Internet. Show your support of Mr. Media by supporting our sponsors, including Audible. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. We're also supported by thepartyauthority.us. Call DJ Ira for all your party entertainment needs nationwide at 1-800-DIAL-DJs, or visit their website, thepartyauthority.us. If you've got an idea for a guest, a comment on today's show, or would like to advertise on Mr. Media Radio, email me directly at bob@mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. You can also call our 24-hour listener line at 1-727-498-4711. Some messages may be used in an upcoming show. And unless you live next door to Mr. Media, there may be a toll charge. You can also follow Mr. Media on Facebook, Twitter, or our new YouTube and Vimeo video channels. Thanks so much for joining us today. I always appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, this is Kevin.com Brown from the Emmy Award-winning 30 Rock, and you know what? I wish I had 30 rocks to throw at Mr. Media's ass. Yeah!
Hey everybody, this is Bob Andelman from Mr. Media. First of all, I want to thank you for years of support listening to this show. We're starting our 6th year, it's hard to believe, our 6th year as 2012 starts, and heading towards our 1,000th online podcast, audio and video. It's pretty amazing, frankly. I remember starting it several years ago thinking this will never last. And podcast, that's as stupid a word as blogging. But here we are, starting our 6th year and heading up to 1,000 interviews. And I want to thank everybody for listening and supporting the show. I also want to tell you that one of the things that's been very helpful for this show is Stitcher Radio. Yes, this is sort of a commercial. Now, there are millions of smartphone apps in the world, but I only use one several times a day, Stitcher Radio. I build my own radio station to listen to broadcast and online shows when I want and in the order I want. CNN News Update, Onion Radio News, WTF with Mark Maron, MSNBC's Morning Joe, Studio 60, the TechCrunch headlines, and of course, Mr. Media. It's free. It works on iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Palm Pre, and much more. And you can get it for free for yourself. Try it out. I guarantee you're going to love it. Stitcher.com/MRmedia. That's Stitcher.com/Mr. Media. You're going to love it. And thanks again for supporting the show.